which will allow him to interchange.
Right.
With the Black Stars midfield, let's face it, sometimes we are a bit too rigid. There isn't room for flexibility. So he finds he has to sometimes drop deeper than he's supposed to drop in some of the matches I've watched. And so the picture being painted is that he is struggling. But this was a game that clearly needed him, because had he been in there, we would not have been playing too many square passes. We would have played more dynamic balls forward.
Right.
And he would have played some of his delicious balls that could get through to Jan. And Jan would have been far more comfortable running in a central position. But because that option wasn't there, Jan had to go, forage for the balls.
Right.
And it wasn't too good. And for me, I think he deserves a chance in the next game against Mali, because clearly we were not dynamic enough today. And clearly it showed.
So Carl, your point about using Ajiman Bedu and Anthony Annan, someone was arguing that it's getting two people to do practically the same, except that Ajiman Bedu is a bit more mobile. Same thing.
I'm sorry to cut in. Yeah, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. Unless, with all due respect, unless you want to play Italy, or want to play the Italian way, then you can lump whatever you have. But even the Italy,
yes,
the guy may be a ball winner.
Right.
But boy, when it comes to creating, they can also create. But the best, as we've seen for most teams, is to either have, if you're going to play with a 4-2-3-1, is to have one who is basically to win the balls for you, but can then bomb forward if need be. And then the other guy must be that passer of the ball. Xabi Alonso. Not necessarily. He forages in front of the four, not necessarily tackling, but when he gets it there, he sets up play. You need somebody to forever be coming up in support of Asamoah Gyan when the opportunities are being opened.
Okay.
And they'll tell you, no matter what it is in football, whether from the 50s or from the noughties, as they call it now, or even now the 10s, you need width.
Okay.
If you go, whether they are auxiliary wingers or they are authentic wingers or manufactured wingers, you've got to get width.
Okay.
You've got to get people bombing forward and getting in decent crosses. When I say crosses, I don't mean high balls necessarily.
Right. Okay.
It can go high, it can go low.
Right.
You see those balls that are played right across that, it takes any form of deflection or somebody comes sliding in. It's a goal. And that's what we're missing. We're missing it big time. That's what Kevin Prince Boateng did, if you remember, in 2010, when Prince Tego started not delivering.
Yeah.
This guy took it upon himself. Even though he was starting from the center, he would go out wide and getting those sort of things.
So
and
no
if you remember,
crosses.
Ayew was then interchanging with Asamoah. One time you have Kudu Asamoah going down the left.
Right.
Another time is... I didn't see that today.
We didn't see that today. We didn't see the mobility. Do you think that the five-man midfield, whether it is a 4-5-1 or a 4-2-3-1, is a system that we are used to? Because I'm asking this against the backdrop. Not too long ago, we prided ourselves on having probably the best midfield in Africa. Apia, Montari, Essien, Kingston. At a certain point, there were four men in the middle running the show. We still had Doya trying to play his thing with them in the same Serbian approach to the game, and yet we still had that four controlling the middle of the park. All of a sudden, we have one man left on his own, because Apia was playing a dual role practically. He was always somehow up there scoring goals for us. Remember the qualifiers for the World Cup in 2006 against South Africa scoring
you see,
goals.
the thing was, Ghana have always played attractive football, what we sometimes call the aggro.
Yes.
And we were blessed to have those four in their prime at that time.
All right.
We were playing a 4-4-2. It was always Asamoah Gyan and Matthew Amo, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely.
I mean, partnering each other. Now, the one reason why things suddenly changed, because even when Milovan Rajevac took over the team, we were still playing 4-4-2. And that was how Prince Tego was able to get goals during the qualifiers for the World Cup. Right. But when all those injuries occurred before Angola 2010, he had to revise his strategy. Young players were brought in. And look, if you're going to play 4-2-3-1, you're going to need, like Carl mentioned, width. You are also going to need players who are prepared to work. It takes a lot of hard work. Because if you're going to have two people in front of the back four with one who should sit and at the same time try and bomb forward, and then at the other trying to provide the passes, then you have somebody playing in a hole. It takes a lot of work. So I mean, Milovan Rajevac went with that, but built his defensive network in such a way that it will be practically impossible for any team to score goals. So apart from the game against La Côte d'Ivoire, you realize we were so difficult to beat until the final, where we lost to Egypt. And so,
long goal.
And so we kind of carry things on the same way at the World Cup. When Goran Stefanovic came, he initially said he was going to go with more attacking play. In the friendly games, we saw a few goals. But gradually, you realize we're still sticking to the same formation. Now, the big question is, how effective can we make it if we don't have the right kind of fullbacks? Because such a system thrives on fullbacks who will deliver telltale crosses that will cause all sorts of problems. Honestly, John Pencil has been crossing all these years, but they've not really hurt anybody. Let me be blunt. He's a solid defender, no two ways about that, but his crosses have never really caused too much. I can remember one assist he gave to Junior Agugu and the World Cup qualifiers, and it's the very first game against Libya. But that's it, really. Down the left, Inkum was not suited for that role anyway. And Masaudu started hitting high balls. I wouldn't call them crosses because they were not telltale crosses.
Sure.
We have a problem in those areas. We need to fix them. Because if we can, I mean, that will give us the width we need. And then with the system in place, we can also move forward. We didn't have that today. Neither did we have the flexibility in the center. And so what happened was they had a rigid 4-5-1 instead. And that left Jan isolated up front. And it's something Goran Stefanovic will have to work on.